here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
Look up on the wall. There on the wall. Under the pillow. Behind the door. There's a crack in the mirror. Somewhere there's a hole in the way. I tell you they not to wait. Tell me, do you think not to wait?
Welcome to Wolo and Friends, ladies and gentlemen. As Wolo's getting prepared, Zach Boyd here with you. We're excited to preview or get ready for this show today. As Wolo, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, and good morning to everybody. It's Friday, end of the week. We got a PGA Tour thing going on, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we got a championship in the NBA. You know, Andy Schiffman's going to be around here in a little bit to talk about that. College World Series begins. We've got Tim Doolin joining us on all of that. Tigers have 3 scholarships left. Stadium renewal, or redo, starting to take its course. Brian Dacus will be here at the end of the program to talk a little bit about that. I want to start off today talking a little bit about a guy who's leaving. And normally we don't talk about guys who are on competing radio stations, correct? But let's be honest. Mark Giannotto is known for his column. He is the columnist of our daily newspaper. There are 2 papers in this market, but let's be clear. The paper of record, the one that has been here forever, the one that still has a print edition 6 days a week, is the Commercial Appeal. He is the lead, or was the lead columnist for that newspaper. I watched him come in. He was a beat reporter. He became the columnist, and he became a really good columnist. I think he's been nationally recognized. The thing I liked about Mark was I think his fairness and his smarts. He doesn't write cute columns, but he writes columns to the point. He writes with fairness, as I said before, and I think a lot of insight. And I think he'll be missed. In case you missed it, Mark is leaving. He is going to the Chicago market. He's not going to write for the Chicago Sun-Times or the Tribune. I think he's going to continue writing long pieces somehow, some way, maybe from home for Gannett. But his wife is a dentist. They have 3 children that are very young, I think under the age of 5, maybe 4. 3 children, and family is in Chicago on his wife's side. They'd always planned on moving to Chicago, and this is a move to be a better family man. This is a move to get more help from the family, and also to have better hours. If you're a columnist, you've got crazy hours. You've got games you've got to watch. You've got traveling when those teams, whether it's college or pro, get into postseason, and you've got to travel with them, or big games that you might have to travel with. You are trying to capture the pulse of whatever city and the sports teams that are involved in that, and you've got to go. And that is hard for a young family like that. I admire him, so he is sacrificing a bit, because that's a pretty good gig he had. Lead columnist, newspaper of record, talk show on a daily basis, which I'm sure was a nice little income piece, and he's giving that up to be a dad. And so I commend him for that. I think that was a hard decision to make. In relationships, we know sometimes there are sacrifices that have to be made. He's made that sacrifice. And I only wish him the very best. I hope we go for a beer before he leaves, as I said I would buy. But I know good things are still in store for him. I'm sure. I think he's going to write, at least for some entity, if it's not Gannett, and we want the very best for him. But sort of a sad day, because today, and go read it if you haven't, it is a farewell to Memphis. Again, it is a very well-written column, and we wish Mark Giannotto the best of travels. That is for sure. I don't know if it's because ESPN isn't covering it anymore, but like the French Open, do you? Let me ask you, Zach. You're a sports guy, for goodness sake. Do you know what round we are in the French Open?
That's the tennis match, am I right?
Yes, the one that's played in Roland Garros in Paris. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
you
don't know what round.
You don't know. They're like finishing the third, starting the fourth round. Okay.
So they almost to the end, basically.
No, they're right in the middle. 2 weeks. 2 weeks in Grand Slams. See, here's the thing. If we don't cover it, it's like, if a tree falls in the forest, does anybody know, right? ESPN stopped doing coverage. I don't know who's got it. It must be just the Tennis Channel. Somebody text us, either on the Sissy's Log Cabin text line, or if you're a friend of mine, you know my number. Text me. Is it only on Tennis Channel? Is that where the French Open is? Coco Gauff just made the fourth round. I mean, this is America's new hope. She's the new Serena. And we have no coverage of that. Does everybody realize Rafael Nadal was supposed to be playing his last one? He is the king of the clay courts, right? The very top guy ever to play on the clay courts, gone first round. Of course, he had to play because he's lost. He sat out last year. He's lost a lot of his world rankings, so he got seeded against a tough guy in the very first round, and he lost. Now he's opened the door to come back at least to play Roland Garros next year. Hope that works out for him. He's still not 100% physically anyway, and hate to say it, but he's getting older. But nobody knows. Nobody knows anymore what the heck is happening in Paris. And that's all because ESPN, I think, stopped covering it. I don't know what the heck happened in that regard. But that is the second major of the year. Like they were in, ESPN was in Melbourne for the Australian Open, right? I know they're going to be in England for Wimbledon.
Yeah.
I know they'll be in New York City for the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
What the heck has happened in Paris? I am not sure. Luka and Kyrie last night, oh man. I'm not buying this, though. This is something that Van Gundy keeps pushing on all of us. And Stan Van Gundy, not Jeff Van Gundy, who's no longer in this, but he's on with Reggie Miller. Well, they were on because the West is now over. ESPN and ABC now have the NBA Finals the rest of the way. But Van Gundy keeps making this remark with Reggie Miller. The best scoring tandem, the best scoring guards in history. I think statistically they are the best since Elgin Baylor and Jerry West. I mean, what about Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan? They were really guards. They scored a lot. They defended pretty well, too. Now, the defense doesn't come into play on this. Miller made that very clear last night. This is all about just scoring and setting each other up to score. So that is the argument they keep making when they make that statement, but they keep hitting on it, and it's good. Don't get me wrong. Luka, and Luka gets lost in the shuffle here when they go, who's the new face of the league to replace LeBron? And now everybody's talking about Anthony Edwards or SGA, or for a minute there was talk about Ja Morant. How do you forget Luka? Luka, who outscored the poor Minnesota Timberwolves. What was that last night? At home, you get back in the series, and you get killed like that? Luka outscored the Timberwolves by himself in the first quarter last night. At the half, I think Kyrie and Luka had like 44 points. I think they were like just 2 points away from together outscoring the entire Minnesota Timberwolves. That was just a total absolute lay an egg. I don't. How can you, when you have a chance really to get back in the series, not that you were going to win it, okay? You were down 3-0. Nobody's ever come back from that. But you win on the road, Game 4. Now you're coming home. You got the whole crowd going crazy. Karl Anthony Towns looks like he's starting to play a little bit better, right? I mean, don't tell me it's because Derek Lively came back for Dallas. I can't believe that. I mean, that was obviously didn't play in Game 4, but I don't believe that's the total answer. I don't know how at home you could lay that big of an egg. That was terrible. That was just awful last night. But now we got our title games, our title series set. It's Boston and Dallas. Everybody expected Boston. Nobody thought Dallas would be there. We will talk again, like I said, in the next segment with Andy Schiffman. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, and it's summertime, and we got a party sale going on. Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road, 24-foot above ground pools, under $2,000. All the ladders, the filter systems, the robotic cleaners. I just got one of those. 20% off. You got a great selection of patio furniture with the 24 stuff in, and that's up to 50% off. We're talking big cash savings going on right now. I-40 and Whidden Road. And don't forget the weekends here now. We don't start the NBA series until, I guess it's next Thursday, right?
It's June 6th.
Man, what are we going to do?
Got a whole week.
But you still have College World Series stuff. We're going to talk with Tim Doolin in just a second about all of that. Major League Baseball, Cardinals on a run here. They won 8 of their last 10. My Cubs have lost 8 of the last 10. Cardinals have now taken over second place in the National League Central. You may be celebrating that. Who knows what you're going to celebrate? You could be watching the golf tournament. You want to restock. You go to see my friend Eddie Connor at the Spirit Shop. That's so easy. It's Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar, the little log cabin right down from Clock Tower. You've passed it a million times. It's been there since 1969. It looks small from the outside. Inside, man, is their product. We're talking rare bourbons. We're talking new opportunities on wines. We're talking every local beer. We're talking every accessory. You want a particular rub for a craft cocktail that you're going to rim your glass with? They got it. They got everything known to man when it comes to spirits. And if you are not sure, Eddie knows. Eddie Connor and his staff will give you an education. All you got to do is go see Eddie at the Spirit Shop, Poplar and St. Nick. Tell him we sent you. Tim Doolin joins us now. We talk baseball. We got a College World Series. We've got 64 teams, 11 of those, the most ever for a single conference. The SEC's got 11. 5 of them are hosts, which is huge because then if you win as a host, you get a super regional for the most part. I mean, I don't know if it just means more, but they get more in the SEC, that's for sure.
Well, there's no question, and deservedly so. I mean, when you talk about the SEC, there's not a better league. It will never be a better league. And you think about this, Wolo, next year, you're adding the likes of Texas and Oklahoma. I mean, and all that does is strengthen it even more. And uniquely enough, it bodes well for those teams that have gotten in because every weekend in the SEC is basically a super regional. So the intensity level, the experience the players get to go through, I think it prepares them for these type of setups and these type of events in a very challenging 64 field team field.
So I believe the number one seed out of the 64 teams is Tennessee. Some people say Arkansas has to finally prove something. They always get here and they never win the big one for their coach. Give me your thoughts on the 11. Who's got the best chance to advance? Who's going to be hosting super regionals in your mind? Lay it all out. And East Carolina, by the way, is a host school. So the American got a host position. Most people are saying, or a lot of people, and this could be SEC bias, they didn't deserve it. Did they?
Well, I don't know that they did. They really struggled down the stretch. I mean, they got beat by some teams that RPIs were not very good, and I do not have them winning their regional. If you want to, I can go quickly through these regionals and kind of give you my predictions. So we'll see what kind of grade I get next Friday. Right?
I love it. Yeah, let me write these down.
Yeah, please do. I think Tennessee's a no-brainer. They're going to win their regional. They've got Northern Kentucky, Indiana, and Southern Miss. Southern Miss is traditionally one of the better teams in the kind of the mid-major field, and they can sneak up on you, and they could, but I don't think they've got enough depth to compare to Tennessee. So Tennessee wins that regional. East Carolina, we just talked about. I think Wake Forest is going to come out of that regional, although East Carolina is hosting Wake Forest. Has got a lot of depth of pitching, some great hitters,
And
and I think they're going to advance in that regional.
And the ACC, by the way, also got 5 teams hosting.
Yes, they did, and they've come. You know, they're not right behind the SEC, but they're probably the second strongest conference. Oklahoma's hosting their regional. I have Duke upsetting them in that regional and moving on. Duke is just a very, really, really good team, solid defense, pitching, and timely hitting. Florida State's hosting that regional. Alabama is in that regional, but I do think Florida State comes out of that. Alabama has just kind of been so-so, although they have a lot of depth of pitching that could make some noise. Arkansas hosting their regional. I don't see anyone challenging them. Virginia hosting their regional. Mississippi State is in that regional. Mississippi State has been playing really, really good. Their pitching staff is an about face from last year, obviously. As bad as they were last year, they're equally as good on the mound. They really need to get Dakota Jordan and Hunter Hines, their 2 big sticks in the lineup, hopefully come out of a funk that they were in the SEC tournament. And it's going to be critical for them to do that if they're going to upset Virginia.
So wait a second. What are you calling here? Mississippi State
calling
or Virginia?
I'm calling Virginia.
Okay.
I'm calling Virginia because they're just really, really good, and they're hosting. But Mississippi State could sneak in there and upset those guys.
Okay.
Arizona's hosting out west. I do think that DBU at Dallas Baptist has traditionally been really, really good. I think they're going to win that regional. So there's 2 host upsets on my picks. Kentucky. You could argue Kentucky should be a number 1 seed, although Tennessee is really, really good. But Kentucky will win their regional. Oregon State will win their regional. NC State will win their regional. Georgia, I think, will win their regional. They've got Army, Georgia Tech, and UNC Wilmington. If Georgia plays like they've been playing, they'll win that regional. Vanderbilt is going to upset Clemson at their regional. I think they've been playing really good as of late, and they've had really good success at Clemson in regionals before. Oklahoma State's hosting. I think Florida is in that regional. I think they're going to upset and win that regional. They're just too good, even though they had a terrible year, 3/4 of the way through the season, but got some guys healthy. And then UC Santa Barbara will win their regional, and then A&M, of course, is going to win their regional moving forward. Texas is in that region, but they're not really near as good as A&M. So there you go. I'm probably going to hit on all of those. Wolo.
Let me see. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 11 teams make super regionals from the SEC. That's how I
That's
counted
right.
that.
And I will tell you that I would not be shocked if I hit on all those. I wouldn't be shocked to see 7 SEC teams in the College World Series, and that will be a first. That's how good these teams are. Their depth of pitching is scary good, and if these guys hit like they're capable of hitting, it's going to be a College World Series just full of SEC teams.
Wow. All right, I got to ask you, the shifting gears here, going to the big leagues. This was a monumental week with the acceptance now that Major League Baseball records will include, as Major League statistics, the Negro League stats. I, for one, love it. I think it's great. I think those athletes were incredible athletes that would have been big leaguers. They could not get in. It changes some things. For instance, Jackie Robinson has better numbers now than he did before because they're going to include the year that he played in the Negro Leagues. But the best player now, statistically, of all time, a case could be made for the catcher in the Negro Leagues who never played in the bigs, Josh Gibson. Your take on all of that and the way things do change?
I think that it's great. I think it's great for our country. I think it's great to recognize these athletes that were had to deal with crazy situations to accomplish the goals that they did and to do the things that they did. And I think it's great for baseball. I think it's going to obviously I think it's going to bring more interest. Heck, we're talking about it today, right? Mm-hmm. And it's no different than people are going to speculate, well, it wasn't this competition or that competition, but we have those arguments every day about who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. It's great dialogue, but there were different times, different situations. But nonetheless, I think it's only fitting that we recognize those players that put up ridiculous numbers and were great athletes in that era.
Yeah, I think, too, that the greatest players of any era could play in any era. For instance,
No
I think
question.
Josh Gibson would be a superstar today because he was such a great player. Babe Ruth would be a superstar if he played today like Shohei Ohtani. Shohei
No
Ohtani
question.
would have been the same thing if we could go back in time. All those guys that were the top 10%, say, of any era could play in any era. That's just how I see it.
No, there's no question about it. It's a very well thought out comment because it's the truth. You say, well, they were swinging this bad, or the ball wasn't this, or what. It's still an athlete. So athletes in those eras and these eras would have adapted because they're that gifted. And so I agree with you 100%.
All right, I have to got to ask you what's going on with my Cubs and the Cardinals now. The St. Louis Cardinals, both teams are Cardinals are 5 games back, Cubs 5.5 games back of the Brewers. But the Cubs are 2-8 in their last 10. The Cardinals are 8-2. What in the world is going on in the National League Central?
I think you need to plan a road trip to Wrigley Field and get that curse
change the
lifted.
karma. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't read really a lot into it. I think that you look at the Cardinals and you say, well, Goldsmith's finally starting to swing the bat a little bit. That's a huge plus. When you put when you look at him in the heart of the lineup, if he's not hitting, they can definitely it affects the other guys around him. I still think the Cardinals have lots of question marks they've got to address. For the last couple of years, they've had too many good young outfielders that they are very optimistic about. But at some point in time, you got to settle in on a lineup. You got to make sure you're getting guys healthy. And then if I were them, I would be interested in looking at making some key trades by the All-Star break to try to shore up some pitching depth. And because, look, at the end of the day, the Cardinals are going to break down on the mound. Lance Lynn's not going to go through the whole season without jumping on the DL. You got Sonny Gray, who has pitched really well. But he's not a young chicken anymore. So he could go down. So you better have guys that you can at least shore up that pitching staff with. And the Cubs situation, I think they just get it's baseball. Sometimes you go 2-8, sometimes you go 8-2. They definitely have a solid club, but I don't think it's going to change from what we've seen over the last several years. This division is anybody's for the taking, and it's going to come down to the wire again, like it always does.
Yeah. What's interesting to me could be that Mozeliak and Marmel have saved their jobs.
Well, for the time being, they have.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Very rarely will you see a club fire the general manager in the middle of the year. Now, if they don't make some noise and win the division or at least get a wild card, I think you might see DeWitt make some changes.
Right.
And I'm not going to argue the fact that they might need to.
He's Tim Doolin. Enjoy your weekend. I know you got a lot of baseball that you're going to be watching with your Doolin Dodgers all over the place, and enjoy. And we'll reconvene. We'll see how you did on all these picks next Friday.
Sounds good. Congratulations to Briarcrest. They won the state championship last weekend against another Memphis team, Christian Brothers. So it looks like those two teams are back in the top, the top of the state in their division. And anyway, congratulations to Craig Hopkins and that group.
It's always great to have two teams from here in the final of the state tournament, right?
No doubt about it.
And that is what you are a Briarcrest kid, aren't you?
I am.
So yeah, no wonder. And you guys defeated the mighty Jason Mott, for goodness sake.
Yeah, Jason Mott's done a great job, and I think hopefully we get back to where it was back in the day when every year we had two teams from the West that are represented in the state tournament, and I think that's going to be the case moving forward.
Thank you, my friend. Enjoy the weekend.
All right, well,
Tim Doolin, brought to you by his favorite place other than a baseball field. That's Miramichi, but by the way, I'll be there this afternoon. If you see me, say hello. Please do. It is gorgeous there. You can be a member for $300. Yes, $300. You never pay an initiation fee. You don't even pay for a cart. Incredible practice facilities, all the golf balls that you can hit. They now charge you, by the way, for golf balls on the range. Not if you remember. There's limited opportunities. I should check to make sure that it is still available, but you can become a member. And I will say this to you as well. You know, it's so beautiful there, place of happy retreat. There's no question about that. And I love talking about one hole, which may be their signature. It's number 10, nicknamed the Snake by Justin Timberlake. The thing, first of all, if you hit a good tee shot, you're in good shape. Go over the left side, over the bunkers. Everything kind of feeds down. Don't hit it too far or there's a creek. But here's the best part. The green is 80 yards long. Your approach shot could be anything from a pitching wedge to a 5-iron because it's 80 yards long. It's crazy. It's beautiful. The back nine's incredible. Go see Miramichi. You're going to fall in love. Back in just a minute, we talk basketball, NBA, with our agent, yes, from Chicago and Priority Sports. That's Andy Schiffman. He's next.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
I've got Jason, the main man marshal here, and he's ready to start something big at Gossett Volkswagen on the pike. What's up, Jason?
Randy, I've got 42 MPG on the highway on the all-new 2024 Volkswagen Jetta SE for only $249 a month. Or take your pick from the 2024 Tiguan S front-wheel drive or 2024 Taos SE. We got it at $279.28 a month.
That's a 2024 Volkswagen Jetta SE, $249 a month. Or take your pick from 2024 Tiguan S or 2024 Taos SE, $279.28 a month.
And Randy, you know the deal. Make me an offer because no reasonable offer will be refused.
Ask for Jason, the main man marshal at Gossett Volkswagen, 1875 Covington Pike. Online, GossettBWMemphis.com.
Where we're charging for it and charging less every day.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We head to Chicago momentarily. Our agent Andy Schiffman standing by is brought to you by Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf. Months that you want to sell your house. April, of course, is really good. So is May and June. May is terrific. And it's been crazy hot since the first of the year. This is what Sheldon told me. He says it may even get better as we go on. And when it comes to selling homes, he's as good as it gets. He's as good at selling homes as bad a golfer he is, and that's because he never practices golf. He's too busy selling your house. Now, he's got a strategy, and it really works. It involves preparation, the 3 Ps, pricing, and everything else that goes into it, and he'll tell you. Talk to 2 or 3 brokers, just make sure he's one of them. And then he'll share with you exactly what you need to do, and he works it tirelessly. And if you want to get to the closing table, the quickest way to do it is through Shell Dunn. How do you get a hold of him? You call 483-0546 or go to memphisrelocate.com. Look, he's a bad golfer for a reason. He loves the game, but he's too busy selling your house. 483-0546, Shell Dunn with Marks and Bensdorf. To Chicago we go. We got a lot of things we want to cover today. Andy Schiffman, we're going to get into the final series here and the dynamic duo of Luka and Kyrie. Did David Jones make a mistake? All that. But I ran across this thing, and it's kind of crazy because I'm not sure. It says the best paying leagues in the world. Okay, so I think we all would agree that the NBA is the number 1 paying league in the world. If you're a player, that's what you aspire to go to. The second ranked paying league, according to this feed or group, whatever you want to call it, they say is a Power 5 stud. Now, they don't elaborate what that is. I can only assume that means if you are a great college player on a Power 5 team, their star, that is the second best paying position that you could be in, a Power 5 stud. The third best paying league is the Euro League. The fourth best paying league is being a mid-major stud. So what is that, like playing I can't say Gonzaga because that's not a mid-major. Would that be a low-level Power 5 team or a team like Murray State? I don't know. Then after the mid-major stud is the Euro Cup. I don't know what the difference between the Euro League and the Euro Cup is. You can help us with that. A low-major stud is the next best. The European Pro League would be next. A Power 5 rotator spot would be the next, and then the G League is the last. Do you concur with that?
Well, first off, I have to say these people have way too much time on their hands.
That's true.
But, yeah, I think that's fair. EuroLeague, Dave, is the absolute top league in Europe, and that's where Luka Doncic started his pro career and transitioned over from Real Madrid to the NBA. He was playing EuroLeague. You see, we have Jabari Parker, former NBA top player, obviously, over in Barcelona in EuroLeague. We've got a lot of players. Wade Baldwin, former Grizzly. He's one of the best point guards in EuroLeague. And all these guys that I just mentioned, they're making well over 7-figure salaries net of taxes, which is important.
Yeah.
Because if you're making $1 million there, and if you're comparing it to what you could make in the U.S. and the NBA, it could be more like $1.7, $1.8 million. So,
how old is Baldwin now? My gosh.
I will tell you.
Wade Baldwin is still making over $1 million taxes.
Oh yeah,
after taxes.
After taxes, and look, that's a credit to him. He has done exceptionally well over there. He's spent a long time with Maccabi Tel Aviv. He's 28 years old. He just turned 28 this past March.
I thought he was older than that. Wow, okay.
Yeah, he's probably going to play in Turkey next season, potentially. That's not final yet. So, look, you can make a lot of money. It just doesn't happen overnight. We have a lot of good players that spend a few years in the NBA, and then they have to build up from there. We talk a lot about our buddy Tarek Black on this show, and he's spent a lot of years playing in EuroLeague. So, for sure, the NBA, to your point, or to this author's point, a Power 5 stud. I think in today's world, in college basketball, if you are the top player on a top blue blood, big, Power 5 school in college basketball, you can definitely make close to 7 figures from the collective, and obviously a lot of additional money in NIL deals. The big money, and it's all, it's all encompassing, the whole term NIL.
Yeah. But
really, the big money comes from the school's collective. That's where you see players going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars when they transfer, when they sign, etc. And then you have all these one-offs that you have an agent for to negotiate and bring NIL opportunities for you. But in basketball, in college men's basketball, really the big money comes from a collective. And you can probably count the number of players that make that amount of money from a collective on one hand, maybe two hands, definitely not more than that. So I kind of take that ranking with a grain of salt. But look, I'm a big fan of going over and playing in Europe. You can really carve out a great career for yourself. And depending on the team, absolutely, you can make a ton of money every single year.
All right, so what's the difference? You're saying the EuroLeague is the best. Then
EuroLeague is the best.
What is Euro Cup? What is European Pro
Sure.
League then?
So EuroLeague, there's 18 teams. They are the top teams in Europe. So you've got the Spanish league, right?
Yeah.
Marc Gasol finished up his career there. So you've got a number of teams, and that's the ACB. That's the name of the Spanish league. So those teams, Barcelona, Madrid, Gran Canaria, Baskonia, Valencia, I can go on and on. Each of those teams play one another every weekend during the season, which starts up in September and October and goes until May. So every weekend, you play against another Spanish team. So you're only traveling within Spain. If you're good enough and you're in EuroLeague, and EuroLeague consists of 18 teams from all over the world, Israel, Turkey, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, Serbia, Lithuania, you can, during the week, travel outside your country to go play another EuroLeague team. So it's really like an international league that is the best of the best in all of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And not every team plays in that. Then you've got Euro Cup, which is kind of the next step down. Not as competitive as EuroLeague. Those teams do not pay as much as EuroLeague. A lot of players will take a Euro Cup job in hopes to then transition to EuroLeague the next year. We've done a great job with that. I'm going through that right now with free agency in Europe. You can make good money doing that. None of those Euro Cup teams really ever pay seven figures. But it's the same setup, right? The same format where you may have a team in France that you're going to play another team in France each weekend. But if you are playing Euro Cup, then you're going to travel around the world for all of Europe, and you're going to play another Euro Cup team in whatever country that team is in. It just depends. So the hierarchy really, Dave, is EuroLeague is the top, then Euro Cup. They have something called Basketball Champions League is kind of that third tier one. And then you got another lower level one, Europe Cup, which isn't all that great. And then just the Pro League is like I talked about.
Yeah.
Just the general domestic league where you're playing one game a week. And look, there are leagues, Turkey and Spain are the two pro leagues in Europe that are traditionally the two best. I used to put Russia in that category, but with everything going on, Russia, they used to have multiple teams in EuroLeague, but with the war going on, they are not playing EuroLeague. They're actually not even playing many of their games in Russia. So I kind of take that out of the equation for now.
Which league did Andre Turner play the majority of his pro career in?
I got to go way back here. I think he was in Greece, if I remember correctly. I'm going to look it up and tell you.
We'll double check with him.
That's before my time.
Yeah.
You got to cut me a break here.
Yeah. I got to get to David Jones. A lot of us surprised, some not really. Obviously it was 70-30 according to the coach of whether or not he would return. So there was
Andre Turner did play in Spain for a little bit.
I thought it was. Anyway, 30% chance he was going to stay in the draft. Yeah. I've not seen him on any projected draft mocks at all. Mm-hmm. He did not fare well at the combine. He's 3 inches shorter than what everybody thought. And, he didn't play that well, if we're just being totally honest here. Sure. So if you don't mind, share what you think is going to happen with David Jones.
I hate to say it, but I think he goes undrafted. I think he could potentially get a two-way on draft night as an undrafted free agent. I think his floor for sure is, and these really are handed out later in the summer, he'll for sure get what's called an Exhibit 10. We've talked about this, where he'll get a carrot of a $75,000 bonus to go into an NBA team's training camp, then get waived and go play for their G League team. And if he's with that G League team for 2 months, he gets $75,000 on top of the G League salary, which is probably going to be around $45,000. And again, that's all before tax. I haven't talked to any teams about him. Obviously, he's not my client.
Right.
I have not heard his name come up. I agree with you. Unfortunately, he did not really help himself during that process. I would have to believe he could have made a lot of money in NIL and potentially from Memphis's collective going back to Memphis. But look, I'm not David Jones. I'm not his agent. I can't really tell you what the thought process was there. But unfortunately, if I had a player in that position and they had up until 2 days ago, Wednesday evening, to decide if you're going to return to school or not, I probably would have advised him, look, here's the feedback. Right now, I don't have a team banging on the door to get you. I don't have a promise of a two-way. And look, that is something maybe he does have.
Yeah, maybe he does. Maybe he does.
There are teams that say, if you stay in the draft, we will promise you a two-way if you go undrafted. And then okay, you know what? On draft night, if I'm drafted, great. And if not, I know I have a two-way in my back pocket for $500,000. And that is something that could happen because now, look,
well, if he does that, hey, if he gets a two-way, and really, don't you have to play close to 50 games in the NBA to get your $500,000?
Well, right. So you get up to 50 games on the two-way, right, and then you'll be able to earn the $500,000 on the two-way. But right, you can only get $50,000 guaranteed on the two-way, and then you can get up to half of the amount if you make the opening night roster. So again, I don't know the conversations being had. Maybe there's something already in place where he knows he's getting that money guaranteed. But these teams, it depends on what teams. There are teams that really circulate through their two-ways pretty regularly during the season. I've seen teams offer a two-way or sign a player to a two-way on draft night, and then they cut that player before the season starts.
Right.
So he's really only on the two-way and hasn't really earned any money out.
Let's take a perfect example. It worked out beautifully for him, but Lester Quinones gambled on himself, thought he had a two-way, which he did, and then he got cut from that two-way in the first year. Now, it worked because he's got a standard NBA contract this year, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. And look, like you said, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? David Jones, he's not going to be attractive for a young, rebuilding team, let's say, like the Washington Wizards or the Charlotte Hornets or the Pistons, that are just really going to try and stockpile young players and assets. Now, as I say that, watch what happens on draft night. One of those teams will give them a two-way. But a 22, 23-year-old seasoned veteran that what I call David Jones, having spent so much time in college, he's really more ready to step in and potentially contribute in an NBA game. I'm not saying he will, because at the very best, the conversation we're talking about now, he's on a two-way. But again, maybe there's more value in getting an older player like that on a two-way from a team that necessarily doesn't need to sign all of these young, unproven players based on upside. So maybe you look at a Minnesota, maybe you look at a Denver, a Boston, OKC, even though they are young, where they're positioned right now in the NBA, Dallas, etc. So I think those teams could have a little more interest in an older player on a two-way and potentially contrast that with going out there and signing some younger players, banking on that upside for the other two ways.
All right, real quick, because we're just about out of time. As always, I love chatting with you. And that is Boston, Dallas. We got our finals.
Oh, yeah.
What's going to happen?
Well, I was on the show last Friday, Dave, and I said, I firmly believe Minnesota's going to come back and win this series after they were down 2-0. So I really have no room to speak. This is a toss-up. I mean, 2 weeks ago, I would say Boston's going to run away with this championship, and I think they're going to win the series, whoever they're playing in 5 games. I am split down the middle. You see what Luka and Kyrie have done this playoff. Luka is an otherworldly player. You can say the same thing on Boston's side. I think we could see a 6 or 7 game series. If I had to pick a team, I'm going to say Boston. But, man, this is going to be an exciting series. I think it could go either way.
All right. I kind of agree. I just can't believe that Minnesota laid that egg the way they did last night. But they did.
Unbelievable.
And now we've got Boston, and if they get Porzingis back, that's a whole different story. Although he's not going to be in real game shape, but we'll see how it all plays. The worst part is we got to wait till next Thursday. But we'll have a game in the books when we talk next Friday. Thank you, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dave.
That is our man, our agent in Chicago. That is Andy Schiffman, brought to you in part by Eflin. That's the Eflin Insurance team. They do insurance the collaborative way. They get to know you, Matt and his team, and I'm talking about guys like Grant and Andrew and Heath, and, of course, Matt. They sit you down. They get to know you. And then once they figure out really what's important to you and your family, what your budget is, too, that, of course, is important, then they will protect your home, your car, your future with life insurance. And they have the same sort of philosophy when it comes to small to mid-sized businesses. That's their specialty. They'll get to know you. They'll get to know your product. They get to know your employees, forecast your business out a stretch. Then they figure out your budget, how to protect you the best way, and then they get the best commercial insurance for you. All you got to do is call 901-386-4777. That spells out GER, by the way. 901-386-4777. It's GER because they're big Tiger fans. Make that call. Get protected the collaborative way with the Eflin Insurance team. We end our week always with Brian Thakis. Lots to talk with him, and he's right around the corner.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Hi, it's The Herd. The action's heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. It's quick. Use the code HERD, H-E-R-D, for new customers to get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500 if your first bet doesn't hit. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. One no-sweat bet per new customer issued as one bonus bet based on amount of initial losing bet. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.co/bball for eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Hey, down south, I've got Marty McMahon getting back to the past on these prices at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown.
This is heavy, Doc. I mean, Randy, let's go with 42 MPG Highway and a 2024 Volkswagen Jetta SE for $249 a month. Or take your pick from a 2024 Tiguan S or 2024 Taos SE for only $279.28 a month.
Great Scott, McNate. You got it going on at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown on Winchester Road. Let me hit those deals again. 2024 Volkswagen Jetta SE, $249 a month, or take your pick. 2024 Tiguan S or Taos SE, $279.28 a month.
Your future's whatever you make of it, Randy, so let us help you make your future down here at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, 7420 Winchester Road, or shop online at GossettVWG.com.
Keep it twisted all year long with a Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Twisted Tea is real iced tea that packs a punch with 5% alcohol. Tastes great at the beach, the mountains, or even in the backyard. Look for the bright yellow Twisted Tea flavors. Responsibly.
I'm looking forward to the weekend. Told you I'm playing golf at Miramichi this afternoon, but we got the Italian Fest. I'm judging there tonight.
Ooh, how about that?
No, I don't even know what I'm judging yet.
Have you been a
I
judge
hope it's
before,
the
or is this
gravy
first
because I
time?
love it. First time I've ever been a judge.
Wow, that'll be fun.
Looking forward to that. And then Sunday night at the Hilton, I'll be part of the auction. Man, there are some auction items that we're going to have, but we're honoring Joe Theismann. He gets the Citizen Award. And then Monday we'll be at Southwind. which I'm really looking forward to. And Joe Theismann will be there. Ryan Silverfield will be there. Penny Hardaway, they're playing in the morning. Maybe we can get a chance to speak to one of them as they make the turn or something. We'll have a slot at 10:25 dedicated to that. But it's going to be a really, really good weekend. So you get a chance. I think there's still a chance to go to the Hilton Sunday night. I think it really starts about 6 o'clock to honor Joe Theismann. That'll be fun to see him. And then he speaks. And if you have never heard Joe speak, he's really terrific. We were just talking with Andy Schiffman. Brian Dacus joins us, as he always does. You hear him every day, 3 to 6, with Stats Norsworthy on Sports Time. I didn't hear your take yesterday, to be honest with you, on DJ leaving or staying in the NBA draft. I don't think he's going to get drafted. Now, he may have a deal, a two-way deal somewhere where you can make up to $500,000. Not guaranteed.
Sure.
But you could. And he's 23 or will be 23 soon, so he wanted to get that clock ticking. I don't blame the kid at all. And I've made this statement before he made his final decision. Of course you want him back.
Of course.
Could be the preseason conference player of the year. But it's not a fatal blow to this team. And I'm curious, your perception with the signing of Vieira Tuck, the kid from Dallas who's been playing in Portugal. His mom's a Portuguese native. He's not a wild guy.
No.
Cisse, whose son, is not a wild guy. Penny said there would still be another wild guy. Who do you think that could be if there is really somebody out there like that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's names that have come out of the had their names in the draft and have taken them out and are in the transfer portal. I think you're going to see some heat on those guys, but it's gonna be interesting. I the news actually came down 2 days ago while we were doing the show in the afternoon, and I was shocked. I said it. I felt really good about David Jones coming back, and I think you put together what we saw in the season, and then kind of we've talked about it before, Dave. Looking at the mock drafts, and he wasn't really on any mock drafts, and then you see him at the combine and did not scrimmage well either day, and a lot of the feedback was, it probably he needs to go back for another year at Memphis, but. I said it when the news came out. We don't know what happened at those workouts. A lot of the combine outside of the scrimmage, you don't see on TV. So, I'm thinking. I was texting with some people when it happened. It feels like he probably had a good workout somewhere, and somebody probably told you, "Hey, we want to get you on a two-way, whether it's in the second round or an undrafted free agent, and give you a two-way opportunity." And he took it. And look, Dave, I mean, there are guys. This is a guy. His third school was Memphis. DePaul, and then St. John's, now Memphis. Some guys are just ready to move on, and some guys, college gets to be where, it's not for them, and maybe they get to that point where it's not for them anymore. And I don't know what went into David Jones' decision, but it's his decision. I respect it. I hope he has a good career, whether it be in the NBA or overseas somewhere where he could probably make some really good money. But like you said, now you got to turn, and I think there's going to be one more person. I think this Vieira Tuck looks like a crafty guard, but is really raw and is going to need some years.
What's his story? Because he's got to be at least 20. This kid has gone to two different academies.
Yeah.
He originally was committed, I think, to West Virginia a long time ago.
And I had an offer
and he's
there,
playing in Portugal, for goodness sake, where he only averaged 9 points and 2.5 assists. So it's like not mind-blowing.
Sure.
I got to figure this guy is really either won a project or a rotation player down the list or both. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like, this guy feels like one of the guys, less hyped up of what we saw in the freshman last year, but kind of that same role where they're the end of the bench and maybe you see them for a couple of minutes late in the game. He's really raw. Like I said, he's a very crafty guard. It looks like there's some potential there that you could maybe get out of him, but I don't think he's a guy that first year as a freshman he's going to be out there in the rotation coming off as a 6th or 7th man. He's going to be a guy at the end of the bench that you really try to develop for a couple of years.
Right. It seems to me with the loss of Jones, I think we got enough scoring total, but we don't. Memphis does not have enough three-point shooting. I heard, I guess it was from Isaac Simpson yesterday on John Harden's show, pertaining to the big kid, Brazil from Arkansas,
Brazil,
who he sort of painted as a bad guy.
Sure.
I don't know. I think the kid's a great player.
He's a good player, yeah.
I have no idea what he's like in the locker room, but he's a great player. Kaluma was mentioned.
Yeah.
What's the status on those guys? Do you think there is an impact guy still out there that Penny could secure?
Sure. I think there's definitely guys out there, and we've seen Penny Hardaway can go out there and get the big fish. And so I think it's possible. I think I saw a rumor the other day about Brazil that Memphis was involved with him. And then I think I saw something else about Brazil that said St. John's and one other school, I'm blanking on the other school, were in on him, and it sounds like it could be a big payday for him. And so it looks like it's an uphill battle, but we've seen Penny Hardaway win those before, and now with the FedEx money, maybe he's able to compete with those schools in terms of money. But I don't know. It's still very early with these guys coming out and getting their names out of the draft. So I'm sure I feel very confident that Penny Hardaway at least has a backup plan and wasn't kind of putting all of his eggs in the basket of David Jones is returning.
Right.
This is going to be the
Well,
complete
I don't
team.
think he would have, because the best he ever said it was 70-30.
Yeah.
It is interesting to me, and Penny, referred to this in his little podcast with Iguodala and the other guy.
Yeah.
And that is how the end game is. So now, here you go. Jones isn't coming back.
Right.
Somebody could come in. Another school might also be in the same boat. We lost a guy
Sure.
we thought we were going to get. Now the stakes go
Yeah.
up. The end game in these things is where the numbers can go way up. And
Absolutely.
I think Penny said, some guy has a price, and then when you have to go back to him, now it's $200,000 more.
Oh, absolutely.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Well, and that's what you're seeing now with guys that are still in the transfer portal. That it's very limited. The guys that haven't been picked up that just put their name in the transfer portal, but certainly these guys that tested the draft wires and coming out. I mean, you saw the kid that was at Utah State that went up to Washington, I believe, and got $2 million is what they're reporting for an NIL deal, and was a guy that was
you know what?
good
I don't
player.
believe. I don't believe half of these things.
I don't either. Well,
I believe that David Jones probably could have gotten 3 to 5.
Yeah,
I'm going to say that.
Oh yeah.
I do know that Bates and Duran, because they were direct deals with the shoe companies, they were getting $1 million. That's the biggest I've ever seen. Although, look, the kid is suing Florida.
That's right.
He said he was guaranteed a 4-year, $13.85 million deal.
Crazy.
But that's a quarterback in the sport that brings in the most money.
Absolutely. So I don't believe these deals. I've seen a lot of people that deal with these high school guys and college guys on the NIL side that say a lot of these. I mean, I was just in college a couple years ago. I know how people exaggerate things, so it would not surprise me if guys are exaggerating their figures. But you are seeing guys that see that and see, this kid from Utah State that went up to Washington is getting $2 million. I was testing the draft waters. I'm coming out. Teams are desperate now. They need a piece to add to their roster. I can go out and get this much money. So I think you're going to see a lot of that now.
All right. Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium redo starting.
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to on that?
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I'm just really interested to see how this plays out during construction, during Tiger games while they're full construction. I know they've talked a lot about those chairbacks are still going to be available, but we're going to move everybody to the other side, and so it's gonna be interesting to see how that all the construction during the season. I know Vandy just went under that last year, and Brett went to a game last year and was talking about all the construction going on. So I think it's going to be fun to kind of see. I don't know, the chaos of
it's
this.
crazy. I was just in Chicago. We were staying right by Northwestern. I was walking by Northwestern. They're redoing Dyke Stadium and only seat 15,000, so they're going to have the same problem.
Yeah.
This is inside baseball talk, but if all the people are going to be now on the west side, and the press box, including TV, will be on the west side, where are the cameras going to be? Are you going to work? Are they going to put the cameras west side and so you're going to show an empty stadium, or will you have the stadium position on the other side? And as a television announcer, it doesn't affect radio, but as a TV announcer, you're working opposite camera. That's by the way, a harder thing to do.
That's very hard. I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. So that's gonna be. But that's what I'm saying. Like all of these things, it's we know that it's necessary to do this, and that kind of end product of what we hope it looks like is going to be great. But I'm interested to see what it looks like during it and throughout it. And your point is a great one. It's gonna be interesting.
I'm not sure they know what the heck is going on, but it'll all sort itself out as we go. As always, thank you. I'll be listening 3 to 6, you and Brett, and that'll do it for my week. Good, blows away. It's only 4 days. They should all be this way. You
I
realize that?
agree.
You know, that's the way life should be. Yeah, in the meantime, this final portion of our show brought to you by, I think, one of your favorite places, Grind City Brewing, where they've been taking care of beerness in Memphis. Now they're taking care of entertainment as well, concerts. This is one of the best concert venues going. If you want to see downtown while you're looking, it used to be you would go on Mud Island, right, on that amphitheater. And they may be redoing that amphitheater, but at the moment, this is the best place to do it. They got everything at Grind City Brewing, including my favorite, the Pilsner, Poppy's Pills. They got a thing, because they love the Tigers, called Tiger Tail. That's a craft malt liquor, unlike any craft malt liquor you have ever tried. A little extra alcohol. They got the God Hopper. That's the pale ale. They got the amber lager they call Thaddeus. And if you like Blue Moon, you're going to love their Belgian-style wheat ale, the Belga. Go check the concert schedule, too. Nothing beats a concert at Grind City Brewing. So many reasons why you'll love this place that is a taste of Memphis. A taste of Johnny Radio is right around the corner. We'll see you on Monday from Southwind. Have a great week, everybody.